Now, the royal member Zara Tindall has finally spoken out about the monarchy's feud with her cousin Prince Harry. What did Zara have to say?
The royal family is known for tradition, silence, and unity, or so it seems. But behind the palace walls, cracks are showing, and one unlikely royal has quietly stepped into the spotlight. Zara Tindall, granddaughter of Queen Elizabeth II, has finally broken her silence. What she revealed isn't just surprising. It changes how we see the monarchy from the inside. Why now? What does it mean for the future of the royal family? Zara Tindall, known for her low-key approach to royal life, has recently made headlines for a rare and candid remark about the ongoing tensions within the British royal family. While much of the public discourse has been dominated by the more visible and vocal members of the monarchy, Zara's decision to speak out has brought a quieter, yet significant perspective to the forefront. As the granddaughter of Queen Elizabeth II and daughter of Princess Anne, Zara has always had a front-row seat to royal life. But unlike her cousins Prince William and Prince Harry, she doesn't hold a royal title. This decision, made by her mother at birth, allowed Zara to grow up with more personal freedom and far less public scrutiny. Despite that, she remains a part of the royal inner circle and often attends major events, balancing her family's legacy with a life that's largely her own. For years, Zara stayed out of the royal headlines, focusing instead on her equestrian career, her family, and her role as a private citizen. That changed recently when she made a few revealing comments during a public event in London. What she said wasn't dramatic or intended to stir controversy. Instead, it was a calm, measured insight into the emotional strain that seems to be affecting the entire royal family. Zara's comments came at a sporting club event in London's Mayfair district, an upscale setting known for hosting athletes and celebrities. She was invited to speak about her life in professional sports, a field where she's earned Olympic medals and global respect. As expected, she shared stories about training, competition, and the highs and lows of being a top-tier athlete. But in the midst of those stories, she also touched on something far more personal. "It is very hard to see from the outside," she said, "but 100% it is a family that is still going through the same struggles other people do." The line was simple, but it resonated deeply with many who heard it. For a family that often seems distant or even untouchable, her words offered a rare glimpse into the very human side of the monarchy. The timing of her statement raised eyebrows. Just weeks before, she had been noticeably absent from several high-profile royal engagements. Most notably, she didn't attend the VE Day commemorations, an event with deep national and family significance. She was also missing from a recent Buckingham Palace garden party, a traditional and symbolic gathering where she's usually a familiar face. For those who keep a close eye on royal appearances, these absences didn't go unnoticed. Because of that context, her comments during the sporting club event were viewed as more than just an offhand remark. They were interpreted by many as a subtle acknowledgement of the emotional weight that recent years have placed on her family. Zara also said, "Whether they are in a relationship, obviously it is very easy to see every day. We're still very supportive of each other." The phrasing was careful, but the meaning was clear. She was referring to the intense media attention on the royal family's personal relationships, particularly the much-discussed tension between King Charles and Prince Harry. Her words didn't take sides, nor did they try to paint an overly rosy picture. Instead, they suggested something more nuanced, that support and conflict can coexist, and that even within the royal household, relationships are complicated. Those who know Zara have often described her as someone who values privacy and loyalty. She doesn't make public statements often, and when she does, they tend to be brief and deliberate. That's part of why this moment felt significant. She didn't criticize anyone, nor did she excuse anyone's behavior. Instead, she reminded the public that behind the formal titles and royal duties, there is a family still trying to navigate its way through challenges, many of which are not so different from what other families experience. It's also worth noting that Zara is one of the few royals who has maintained relationships across different parts of the family. She grew up close to both William and Harry, sharing holidays, public events, and private moments away from the cameras. In childhood and early adulthood, the three were often seen laughing together at sporting events or family functions. That shared history adds weight to her words, especially given how divided the family appears today. Her tone during the event was calm, not emotional, but those listening sensed that she was speaking from a place of experience and reflection. It was a reminder that, while she might not be a headline-making royal like her cousins, she still carries the emotional weight of everything happening within the monarchy. While the world often focuses on the loudest voices and the biggest headlines, it's voices like Zara's, quiet, balanced, and grounded, that can sometimes say the most. In just a few sentences, she managed to express a sentiment that many within the family may feel but haven't said out loud, that the royal family is, in the end, still a family. And like any family, they face struggles, have disagreements, and feel the pressure of both personal relationships and public expectations. Her comments also sparked broader conversations about how the public perceives the monarchy. With so much focus on drama and scandal, it's easy to forget that the people behind the palace walls are also living through personal challenges. Zara's perspective helped to reframe that narrative, even if only slightly, by putting a more relatable lens on a very public story. In the days that followed her appearance, media coverage of Zara's comments varied. Some outlets praised her honesty, calling it a refreshing moment of openness in a royal landscape often dominated by silence. Others speculated about her motivations. Was she trying to calm public tensions, send a private message, or simply speak her truth? We may never know for sure. But what is clear is that Zara Tindall, usually one of the quieter members of the royal family, managed to deliver a message that stood out without stirring drama. And perhaps, in this chapter of the royal family's ongoing story, that quiet voice is exactly what was needed. The fallout. Prince Harry, King Charles, and family reactions. As Zara Tindall's subtle but meaningful comments settled into the public consciousness, attention quickly returned to the deeper issues that continue to challenge the royal family from within. The ongoing tensions between Prince Harry and the rest of the monarchy, particularly King Charles and Prince William, remain one of the most talked about topics in royal news. These tensions haven't developed overnight. Instead, they've grown over several years through a mix of personal disagreements, media scrutiny, and emotional strain. And in the background of it all, the family continues to try and carry out their public responsibilities while managing private heartbreaks. One of the most significant recent developments came when Prince Harry lost a legal case in the United Kingdom regarding his personal security. Since stepping back from his royal duties in early 2020, Harry has repeatedly raised concerns about his safety when visiting the UK. He had sought to overturn a decision that denied him automatic police protection during these visits. But in a ruling that surprised some observers, the court sided against him. The court's decision appeared to strike a nerve. Not long after, Harry gave an interview to the BBC that was both emotional and direct. He described the legal ruling as heartbreaking and used the phrase institutional stitch-up to describe how he felt the system had treated him. For many, those words were shocking. They suggested a belief that individuals in positions of authority may have acted in coordination to limit or undermine his interests. Whether that's true or not, the strength of the language used added to the perception that Harry felt not only isolated, but actively wronged. This kind of language carries weight, especially when spoken by someone who was once at the heart of the royal system. The reaction from both the public and the press was mixed. Some sympathized with his position, seeing him as someone trying to protect his family and being stonewalled by outdated rules. Others, however, felt his comments were overly aggressive and perhaps even harmful to the institution he had once promised to serve. It's also important to note that this wasn't the first time Harry had spoken openly about his struggles with the royal system. Over the past few years, he and his wife Meghan have given several high-profile interviews where they've detailed what they described as difficult and sometimes damaging experiences within the institution. From Oprah Winfrey to Netflix documentaries, Harry has repeatedly described his desire to seek emotional freedom and protect his family, even if it meant stepping away from royal life altogether. At the same time, he has occasionally expressed hope that reconciliation with his family might still be possible. In some of his statements, Harry has made it clear that he still loves his father and brother and would be open to mending those relationships. But those hopes have often been clouded by comments that seem, at least to some, to contradict that intention. One moment that drew particular attention came when Harry, in another interview, said, "I don't know how long my father has." The timing of this comment was critical. At the time, King Charles had recently begun treatment for cancer, a deeply personal and serious health issue. While some interpreted Harry's words as a heartfelt expression of concern, others viewed it as insensitive or even inappropriate. The suggestion that time might be limited, expressed in such a public setting, led to backlash. Critics felt the moment called for privacy and dignity, not public speculation. For King Charles, the emotional toll has reportedly been significant. According to palace insiders quoted in various publications, the king feels betrayed, not only by the actions of his younger son, but also by the repeated public airing of private matters. It's one thing to disagree behind closed doors. It's another for those disagreements to be broadcast to millions of people across the world. This sense of betrayal has reportedly been felt even more strongly by Prince William. Where Charles has tried to remain composed and measured in his responses, William's reported reaction has been more emotional. Sources close to the palace say that William is furious about the situation. The long-standing tension between the brothers has only deepened over time, and the continued media attention seems to keep old wounds open rather than allowing them to heal. There have even been reports that William has pushed for Harry and Meghan to be stripped of their remaining royal titles. If true, that would be a major step, one that could make reconciliation even more difficult. Stripping titles is not a decision taken lightly in royal circles. It would signal not just a disagreement, but a fundamental severing of ties. Whether this will happen remains to be seen, but the mere suggestion highlights just how serious the situation has become. Through all this, Zara Tindall has remained largely neutral in public. But as someone who has known both Harry and William since childhood, it's likely she feels the impact of the rift in a very personal way. For years, the three cousins shared a close bond. They grew up attending family gatherings, holidays, and royal events together. Their connection was rooted in shared experiences that few others could truly understand. Navigating life as a member of the royal family comes with pressures and expectations that are hard to explain to outsiders. In many ways, Zara was a bridge between the two brothers. But even the strongest bonds can be strained by public drama and private pain. As the feud between Harry and the rest of the royal family has intensified, Zara's position has become more complicated. She's not a working royal, but she still represents the family. She isn't known for making political or emotional statements, but when she does speak, people listen. That's why her comments about the family, going through the same struggles other people do, struck a chord. It wasn't just what she said, it was when and how she said it. Zara didn't sit down for a formal interview. She wasn't promoting a book or a documentary. She made her remarks casually, during an event that had nothing to do with royal politics. That gave her words a different kind of weight. They felt spontaneous, honest, and grounded. While Zara didn't name names or point fingers, her comments still managed to bring the focus back to a fundamental truth, that the royal family, despite all the titles and tradition, is still a family. And like any family, it is vulnerable to pain, conflict, and misunderstanding. What makes this moment particularly challenging is the fact that the family is dealing with so many things at once. The loss of Queen Elizabeth II in 2022 marked the end of a monumental chapter in British history. Her death not only left a personal void for her children and grandchildren, but also created a leadership transition at a time of deep personal division. King Charles now faces the dual challenge of leading an institution in transition while also managing a deeply personal and very public family crisis. Prince William, as heir to the throne, is trying to prepare for his future role while dealing with the emotional strain of a fractured relationship with his only sibling. And Prince Harry, thousands of miles away in California, continues to speak his truth while hoping, perhaps, for some kind of reconciliation. Zara's bonds with the royals. Among the many relationships within the British royal family, some are more visible than others. But there are also quieter, less obvious connections that carry a lot of emotional weight. One of those is the bond between Zara Tindall and her uncle, King Charles III, and her cousins, Princes William and Harry. These relationships, shaped over decades of shared experiences, carry both warmth and complexity. And as the royal family continues to navigate public challenges and personal tensions, Zara's position within that inner circle offers a unique perspective. Unlike many senior royals, Zara Tindall doesn't hold a royal title. That was a decision made by her mother, Princess Anne, who wanted her children to live as private citizens without the pressures that come with royal status. Yet despite this, Zara has always been part of the royal fold. She has grown up attending royal events, engaging with the public, and sharing in family milestones, all while maintaining a relatively grounded lifestyle. One of the most striking relationships in Zara's life is the one she shares with her uncle, King Charles. At first glance, Charles is known for his formality. He carries himself with the reserve expected of a monarch and often appears distant or controlled in public. But when he's around Zara, something changes. Observers have noted that his usual composure softens. His face lights up and his body language becomes more relaxed. In photos and public appearances where the two are together, there's often laughter, warm hugs, and casual interactions that stand out against the usual royal protocol. Body language experts, like Judy James, have commented on how Zara seems to bring out a more affectionate and human side of the king. During one event at Royal Ascot in 2022, for example, Zara was seen giving Charles a gentle kiss on the cheek and wrapping her arm around his shoulders. It wasn't staged or for the cameras. It looked natural, like a niece checking in on her uncle, making sure he was doing all right. These moments show a rare level of emotional intimacy, especially in a family where public displays of affection are often limited. Their bond is particularly interesting given how different they are in personality. Charles, though passionate about causes like climate change and architecture, is often seen as serious and sometimes a little stiff in public. Zara, on the other hand, is outgoing, sporty, and known for her lively energy. She doesn't hold back in showing affection, and that contrast appears to give her the ability to help Charles let his guard down, at least briefly. Some royal commentators have suggested that Zara plays a protective role around Charles during public events. Her relaxed and confident presence seems to comfort him, offering a break from the formalities he's surrounded by. For someone like Charles, who has carried the weight of royal duty for most of his life, these small moments of ease and connection may be especially meaningful. Zara's relationship with Prince William is just as significant, though in a different way. They are close in age, only about a year apart, and grew up more like siblings than cousins. Both had the unique experience of navigating life as young royals in the spotlight, with all the pressures that come with that. While William was being groomed as the future king, Zara was allowed to follow her own path. That difference in expectation may have helped her develop a more grounded view of royal life, but it also gave her a special ability to connect with those still inside the institution. There are several stories that highlight the strength of the bond between Zara and William. In the documentary The Queen at 90, William recalled a moment from his childhood when he was scolded by Queen Elizabeth for chasing Zara while she was driving a go-kart. The playful moment ended in a crash, and the Queen was not amused. But what stood out in that memory was the dynamic between the cousins, a mix of fun, mischief, and shared childhood that left a lasting impression. After the death of Princess Diana in 1997, the entire royal family rallied around William and Harry. Zara, who had always been close to both boys, became a comforting presence during that difficult time. Reports suggest she was among the family members who helped support the young princes in their grief. On a skiing trip arranged not long after Diana's passing, Zara reportedly played a big role in keeping spirits up, through snowball fights and simple moments of fun that helped distract from the pain. Over the years, that bond with William only grew stronger. In 2013, when Prince George was born, William named Zara as one of his son's godparents. It was a personal decision that broke with tradition, as royal godparents are usually selected from within the aristocracy or high-ranking circles. Choosing Zara showed just how much William trusted her, not only as a family member, but as someone who would guide and support his children in a sincere and meaningful way. Zara and William's connection has also extended to public appearances and media projects. In 2023, Zara, William, Catherine, and Princess Anne appeared together on the podcast The Good, the Bad, and the Rugby. The tone was informal and friendly, a rare look into the personal relationships behind the formality. During the conversation, William shared that the only time he cried watching sports was when Zara won the European Championship. He wasn't even there in person, but said that hearing about her victory moved him deeply. That story reflected not only pride, but a genuine emotional connection, one that still runs strong today. Then there's Prince Harry, who shared a similarly close bond with Zara during their younger years. The two often appeared together at family events, laughing and joking in a way that suggested a very natural friendship. Like William, Harry grew up alongside Zara, and their relationship was shaped by the unusual mix of privilege and public scrutiny that comes with royal life. But in recent years, that connection appears to have faded. The growing rift between Harry and the rest of the family has made it difficult for many of those once close bonds to continue unchanged. During King Charles's coronation, observers noted that while Zara and Harry were present, they didn't interact in any significant way. Reports have since suggested that Zara has distanced herself from Harry, possibly in quiet support of William, as the royal feud continues. It's unclear exactly where Zara and Harry's relationship stands today. She hasn't spoken publicly about him in any critical way, nor has she taken sides openly. But her actions, such as attending events with William and Catherine, while staying away from Meghan and Harry's public projects, may hint at where her loyalties now lie. What's striking is that Zara seems to have found a way to maintain her closeness to the royal family while avoiding the intense spotlight that others struggle with. She supports William, respects King Charles, and remains a visible part of family life, all without the formal duties or titles that define others in the royal structure. Her position is unique. She is close enough to feel the emotional impact of what the family is going through, yet distant enough to observe it with a degree of clarity. Her recent public remarks, though subtle, reflect that delicate balance. She acknowledged that the family is going through difficult times, but didn't assign blame or stir division. Instead, she offered a perspective rooted in shared experience and quiet understanding. In the absence of Prince Harry's once prominent role in the royal lineup, some have wondered whether Zara has stepped into a new kind of informal position, a trusted confidant and emotional anchor, particularly for William. While it may not be an official role, her support during difficult times, such as Catherine's recent health issues, suggests she continues to be a steady presence behind the scenes. Behind the scenes, Zara's lifestyle and public image. Despite her calm demeanor and tendency to stay away from the royal spotlight, Zara Tindall lives a life that combines elements of understated elegance with the privileges of royal connections. To the outside world, she may appear down-to-earth and relatable, especially compared to her more public-facing cousins. But behind the scenes, Zara enjoys a lifestyle that is both luxurious and well-funded, shaped by her background, her career in equestrian sports, and a growing presence in the business world. Zara was born into royalty, but her upbringing was intentionally different from that of her royal cousins. Her mother, Princess Anne, made the unusual choice not to give her children royal titles. This decision was aimed at giving Zara and her brother, Peter Phillips, a more normal childhood, free from the expectations and protocols that often accompany royal life. It's a decision that Zara has repeatedly expressed gratitude for, saying in interviews that it allowed her to grow up with fewer restrictions and more personal freedom. Her education reflected a mix of privilege and practicality. Zara attended some of the UK's top private schools, including Port Regis and Gordonstoun in Scotland, the same school that her grandfather, Prince Philip, and Uncle King Charles attended. While Charles reportedly disliked his time at Gordonstoun, Zara thrived in the environment, enjoying the physical challenges and the strong emphasis on outdoor activities. The school's rugged approach to education suited her well and helped foster her early love for sports, especially horse riding. That love eventually turned into a full-fledged career. Zara became one of Britain's most successful equestrians, winning the Eventing World Championship in 2006 and earning a silver medal at the 2012 London Olympics. These achievements didn't just bring her personal satisfaction, they also positioned her as a public figure in her own right, separate from her royal lineage. Competing at such a high level in equestrian sports is also incredibly expensive. From training to travel, equipment to stable maintenance, the costs can easily exceed several £100,000 a year. Fortunately, Zara has secured a number of high-profile sponsorships throughout her career, which help cover the extensive costs of her sporting ambitions. Companies like Rolex, Land Rover, and Musto have supported her over the years. These brand partnerships, along with other ambassadorial roles, have earned Zara significant income, turning her into a financially independent figure who isn't reliant on public funding or royal allowances. It's a different path than many working royals take, but it fits with Zara's image as someone who prefers autonomy over ceremonial roles. Critics have occasionally raised questions about whether Zara's royal connections have helped her land these lucrative deals. While it's difficult to separate public interest in her from her family name, Zara has been clear that her professional success is based on merit. She has consistently pointed to her achievements in sports as the reason brands want to work with her. From her perspective, she's not cashing in on her royal ties. She's using her platform to support her passion. Beyond her career, Zara's personal life is also marked by both luxury and stability. She married former England rugby player Mike Tindall in 2011. The wedding, though not as high profile as Prince William and Catherine's earlier that same year, still attracted significant attention. It was a mix of traditional and modern elements, with celebrations that included a pre-wedding party aboard the royal yacht Britannia. The ceremony itself took place in Edinburgh, offering a more relaxed atmosphere than some of the more formal royal weddings. Since then, Zara and Mike have carved out a lifestyle that blends royal connections with a more relaxed, family-oriented approach. The couple lived for many years in a large country home on Princess Anne's estate in Gloucestershire, before moving to a grander farmhouse with a cinema, gym, and fully equipped horse barn. They've made their home a place where both sport and family life coexist, often hosting guests and attending equestrian events as a family. Zara and Mike have 3 children, Mia, Lena, and Lucas, and while they've chosen to keep their family life relatively private, they've occasionally shared glimpses into their parenting approach. Like Zara's own childhood, their aim seems to be offering their children as normal an upbringing as possible, despite their connections to one of the most famous families in the world. When it comes to fashion and public appearances, Zara's style has evolved over time. She was once known for a laid-back, casual look that reflected her sporty personality. But in recent years, especially when attending royal functions or public events, Zara has adopted a more polished and sophisticated appearance. She frequently wears British designers, pairs classic pieces with contemporary accessories, and has a particular fondness for fascinators and hats, especially during horse racing season. Her style is often described as modern aristocratic, refined but never over the top. Zara's presence at events like Royal Ascot, Cheltenham, and various charity galas continues to reinforce her status as a well-regarded member of the royal circle. While she may not undertake royal duties in an official capacity, she's still viewed by many as part of the family's public image. She attends state funerals, royal weddings, and Christmas services at Sandringham, where she's often seen chatting easily with both senior and extended royal members. Her friendly demeanor and approachable style have made her a favorite among royal watchers. Despite all of this, Zara remains protective of her privacy. She doesn't give many interviews, rarely engages with the press, and maintains a relatively low profile on social media. Her husband, Mike, has been more active in the public eye, including appearances on reality television and podcasts. Even so, they both appear to value their family life over public attention, often keeping their children out of the spotlight. In addition to her sporting and ambassadorial work, Zara has quietly begun expanding her role in the business world. She works as a director at Cheltenham Racecourse and is involved in several ventures related to equestrian sports and lifestyle branding. These projects further reflect her desire to remain financially independent while continuing to pursue the things she's passionate about. The contrast between Zara's personal life and her royal background is one of the most compelling aspects of her story. On one hand, she lives in a multi-million-pound home, drives luxury vehicles, and wears designer clothing. On the other, she's known for her warmth, her dedication to her family, and her unwillingness to be swept up in royal drama. That contrast may be why she's so well-liked by the public. She feels approachable, someone who understands the world she was born into, but doesn't let it define her. Zara's ability to stay connected to the royal family while avoiding its most intense pressures is no small achievement. At a time when the monarchy is under constant public scrutiny, her steady presence stands out. She may not make headlines often, but when she does, it's usually for something thoughtful, meaningful, or quietly impactful. As the royal family continues to face challenges, from internal divisions to shifts in public opinion, Zara's role remains unofficial but important. She represents a version of royalty that is modern, relatable, and grounded. And as seen in her recent remarks about family struggles, she is capable of offering insights that others, perhaps constrained by duty or expectation, cannot.